Both leaders on the election campaign have been forced to defend their own front benches. Malcolm Turnbull backed his immigration minister, who said more refugees would take Australian jobs, while Bill Shorten's shadow justice minister failed to declare a $2 million plus investment property.
The backdrop for another border security assault on Labor.
Your leadership's so important.
Yours is at the moment too.
That's true. That is true.
But his leadership authority is challenged by his immigration minister's comments on refugees.
These people would be taking Australian jobs, there's no question about that.
A far cry from the Peter Dutton who met Syrian refugees just 6 months ago.
I don't think there was a dry eye in the house.
Now,
For many of them that would be unemployed, they would languish in unemployment queues.
Labor compared that to this.
Immigration must be halted in the short term so that our dole queues are not added to.
A gift for Bill Shorten.
This string of orchestrated rubbish that we've seen Mr Turnbull and Mr Dutton come up with.
Forcing Malcolm Turnbull on the defensive.
Peter Dutton is an outstanding immigration minister.
And then offensive.
Mr Shorten, on the other hand, leads a party that is utterly divided on this issue.
The best that the Liberal Party can do, it appears, is to put out a string of lies and pathetic scare campaigns.
But offence soon turned to defence for Bill Shorten with an own goal from one of his own team on negative gearing. In Sydney to announce a rail duplication at Port Botany.
This is at the big end of the forklift business.
This is a big one, yeah.
His message was steered off course by Shadow Minister David Feeney, who'd failed to declare a $2.3 million investment home in Melbourne. Have you read the riot act to David Feeney?
I've expressed to him how displeased I am about this matter. It is unacceptable.
It further emerged that Mr Feeney has another investment property bought from disgraced former union boss Cathy Jackson.
Well, I think that the attention he's getting is not the attention that a candidate would want in an election campaign.
Especially when Mr Feeney's Melbourne seat of Batman is at risk of falling to the Greens.
How on earth do you forget the $2.3 million investment property?
David Feeney couldn't explain that either, although he was happy to tweet against negative gearing recently, saying it benefits rich investors. A bad day on the campaign for both sides, but with more than 6 weeks to go, still plenty of time to steer their ships back on course.
What did it run aground in a cyclone?
Yes, yeah.
And
My darling, I've hungered for your touch.
on song.
And Mark Riley joins us here in Sydney. Mark, self-inflicted wounds for both sides today. Who do you think suffered the most?
Well, Mark, I think Labor did. Nobody forgets you've got a $2.3 million investment property, and for David Feeney to suggest he wasn't sure whether that property was negatively geared or not, I mean, seriously, give us a break. As for Peter Dutton's comments, well, it will anger people on the left side of politics, but I think there are many more people in the centre and on the right who would agree with him. And the coalition is convinced, Mark, that every time the campaign conversation shifts onto border security, it's a win. Mark?
OK.